Seth looks like a car mechanic.
You know what it is? It's from here, Walker. His feet are over here, so the rest of his body's over there.
Jeff, why are you standing in front of the camera so that now we can't see the funny things that are happening? Because
Well, I got good and bad news. Your transmission's absolutely gone, but
oh gosh. And welcome into the Friday Game Night Pickem Show here for week number 9 on AccessWDUN.com. Caleb Hutchins, Jeff Hart, Walker McCreary, Seth Chapman. One missing. One very
My name
big
was said
noticeable-
right this week.
That is great.
And you know, there's so much more room.
It is. I've got elbow room
Look
now.
at this. I
It's
like it.
awesome. Bo Wilson
Seth,
is.
I think this means that you have to actually write my name correctly on all the graphics this week.
No, he's still
Not a
gonna,
chance.
No, he's still gonna do that.
Okay.
one.
not a chance.
So
Willie.
Bo's like playing with cactus or something.
Bo
isn't he?
Wilson is in Arizona,
Yeah.
and as a result, it is just us. Don't worry, Bo will be back for Friday night. He's
If the
going to be
Scorpions don't get him.
He's going to be on the call of the Jefferson Flowery branch game on FM 102.9, but he is out for the taping of this show. And so instead, you've got me hosting, but we've got the rest of the crew here. Jeff, Walker, Seth. We've got a guest picker coming on in a little bit. Should be a lot of fun. And
a very familiar face.
very familiar face, very familiar voice.
Really,
Yeah.
more than face.
So,
Unless you've been to a lot of baseball games.
well, I guess that's true.
Basketball,
He's got a
Or basketball, too.
Basketball is a better one for that. All right, so guys, week 8 of high school football, we did not have a very big slate, but I thought we made up for the lack of number of games that we had with some very, very, first off, some great games, but also some big-time shakeups in some of the regions around the area.
There kind of were. I mean, you know, and actually this week is lighter than last week. We only got 14 games on the schedule this week. So for some, I guess teams took advantage of like a late, taking their off week. And pick the last couple of weeks to kind of get ready for that last month. It's a great the game I was at, the Cherokee Bluff East Forsyth game was, in retrospect, not surprised it was a defensive struggle when you look at the game from last year. But, you kind of looked at two offenses that had, kind of really been picking up the pace lately. But I tell you, those two defenses, and particularly Cherokee Bluff, that's a sneaky good defense that boy, if they just an extra point at Madison County, they might have things in their own destiny. But,
well, a missed extra point at Madison County and 2 turnovers against North Hall. I don't think there's anything. I don't think you can call Cherokee Bluff's defense sneaky anymore. They're just a really good defense.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
Their 3 biggest region games this year, they held Madison County to. What did they end up scoring?
20-something.
But it went 27, but it was 20 in regulation. They went to overtime.
Almost half of what they averaged.
Correct. They held North Hall's offense down. North Hall scored 2 defensive touchdowns in that game. And then they hold East Forsyth to a field goal and nothing else. So that's a very good Bears defense. And they just flipped the script in 8-4A. I mean, now you've got Cherokee Bluff sitting there. And right now, North Oconee still number 1 in the region. East Forsyth, Madison County, and North Hall still control their own destiny. But Cherokee Bluff now all of a sudden has a path. Now that path probably has to involve East Forsyth beating Madison County and then North Hall beating East Forsyth. But that's a very realistic possibility down the stretch here.
It definitely is. Walker, you were monitoring a lot of the games around the area on Friday. Not just that game. What was what did you see?
I mean, White County taking Wesleyan down to the wire and having a chance to win that game, I think, is huge for 7-3A because now 7-3A is kind of like 8-4A in that Lumpkin County's kind of distanced themselves a little bit, but Wesleyan still has a path. White County still has a path. Dawson County still has a path. 7-3A became a lot more interesting just because Wesleyan beat White County and kind of took the region title game out of Dahlonega next week just because now everybody would have one loss if White County gets the win. Dawson Wesleyan this week's going to be a big game to determine how this thing shakes out. 7-3A became just as interesting, I think, as 8-4A.
Are those the 4 playoff teams? Are they starting to develop themselves in that region? I mean, West Hall, Pickens somewhat of a disappointment this year. Gilmer, West Hall, I think that we were hoping West Hall might have a little more than kind of what they've shown. Are those the 4 teams we just don't know the order, or is Pickens and Gilmer still involved in being able to make have a say in this?
I think Dawson County Gilmer. If you had to ask me to pick right now, I think Dawson County Gilmer probably is a game that gets played for a playoff spot towards the end of this year. And I agree.
So that means you're already feeling like Wesleyan's going to be Dawson this week.
Well, spoiler alert, we'll get to the picks later on.
Oh, I tried to pull a bow there and get somebody to make a pick early.
Well, listen, I think if you ask anybody in that region right now, the top 3 definitely appear to be Lumpkin County, White County, and Wesleyan. But again, Dawson County's going to have their opportunities to shake that up. Now, they've already lost to White County, but they're going to get to play Lumpkin and Wesleyan. So Dawson will have a chance to make some noise there.
They may control their own destiny.
The real Pandora's box in that region is what happens if White County beats Lumpkin County in a couple of weeks in Dahlonega. That's really, because if that doesn't,
next week,
if that doesn't happen at that point and Dawson County were to lose another game, Lumpkin County's essentially got the region title at that point. So that's really what everybody's waiting on. On another note, I don't think any of us saw coming what Flowery Branch did to Winder Barrow on Friday.
No.
Good grief. 48-0.
I saw them winning that game somewhat comfortably, a couple of touchdowns, but 48 points and a shutout. I don't think did you see that, Walker?
No, I think that we all knew that Flowery Branch was starting to put the pieces back together after losing, 3 in a row, 4 in a row?
Three in a row, I think.
I don't think that we anticipated that the Flowery Branch defense would pitch a shutout to Winder Barrow, especially with that downhill running game that Winder Barrow has and that is traditionally really, really good. The defense stood up on homecoming. Bigger test this week. I know we're going to talk about this game a little bit later on, but I think that Flowery Branch can hang around with Jefferson.
Well, maybe we should start with that. Why don't we start with that?
Definitely.
Because I think that's really one of the games I'm the most interested in because of what you just said, Walker. They've struggled with those downhill running teams. We saw what Stevens did to them earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. So to see how that defense handled Winder Barrow. Now, Winder's not as good as Stevens, and they're not as good as Jefferson. I mean, let's just be honest about it. But, there's some hope there that defense maybe can slow down Jefferson. You get a couple of guys behind the defense on some long balls. Anything's possible, Caleb.
Yeah, I do think the wild card in this game is the long ball factor with Flowery Branch because with Jeremiah Ware, he's had such big playability. I mean, I would like to know how many touchdowns of longer than 40 yards receiving that guy has had just in the last 4 games or the last 3 games for Flowery Branch, because it feels like ever since the halftime of the Eastside game, it's kind of turned into the Jeremiah Ware show. Obviously, Josh Oliver has a lot to do with that, the guy throwing the football, because he has really broken out as well. But yeah, that has the opportunity to keep Flowery Branch. I mean, you could have a game that Jefferson is dominating physically, but Flowery Branch is just hanging around if they just hit 2 or 3 long balls over the course of the ball game.
Right. Could
totally flip things around. Now, let's be honest. Flowery Branch's defense did a great job against that downhill running game of Winder Barrow. Walker, Sammy Brown, completely different animal this week.
Animal's a good word.
I mean, Sammy just does it everywhere. Offensively, he's going to pound the ball right up the middle, and he's going to carry people with him 3, 4, 5 yards a touch. Defensively, he's going to be all over the field. Special teams, we've talked about his punting ability. He's the X factor in this game. Can Flowery Branch figure out a way to contain him in at least 2 of those phases, particularly on the offensive and defensive sides? If you can limit his offensive production and you can figure out a way to get away from him on defense, I think Flowery Branch can hang around in this game, particularly just because of what you said, Caleb. Jeremiah Ware and Josh Oliver have found a connection that nobody has figured out how to stop really since they've gotten in this little stretch run, Clark Central, Winder Barrow. I said it when they beat Clark Central a couple of weeks ago. If this Flowery Branch team can score like they did against Clark Central, if they can score like they did against Winder Barrow, this isn't a cakewalk for Jefferson by any stretch of the means. Jefferson's going to have to keep up more so and get a stop, I think, to be able to get this win.
Definitely.
And something we were talking to Courtney Newton last week. We asked her about Malik Dryden. She didn't want to spill the beans on whether he was coming back. But, you got to feel, let's say they didn't play him last week. They rest him for this game, and he's back. I mean, that just adds another element that gives them a little bit of a more of a downhill running game. I think this is a very interesting game. I mean, I don't think anybody, if Jefferson wins this game 21-0, I think we're probably like, okay. But I'm not sure I see a blowout in this if Branch plays the way they've been playing the last 2 or 3 weeks.
If Malik Dryden comes back, you've obviously got several questions. One, what percentage is he operating at? But also, what does that do to Flowery Branch's offense? Because this passing game really exploded after his injury because the team was forced to start throwing the ball around the yard a whole lot more. And they're having a lot of success doing that. So if you get Malik Dryden back, I am interested to see for Jason Tester in that offense, what is the approach offensively? Michael Hill, the offensive coordinator, what did they look to do with that? I'll tell you another thing, Jeff. I tell you who's got a close eye on this ball game is not just Jefferson and Flowery Branch. Eastside out of Covington, they've got their eyeballs on this thing because Eastside very quietly has become the top contender to Jefferson. Remember, they beat Flowery Branch in that double overtime game. They've already got several wins under their belt. They're 3-0 in the region. I think Eastside is off this week, so they are watching to see what happens here as well.
They're probably scouting several things in that game for sure.
I mean, I know that we're talking about Flowery Branch and how the offense changed when Dryden went down. Didn't we kind of see this with another team in our coverage area in Jackson County when MJ Sperlin went down?
Yep.
They got a passing game, and now Jackson County is a lot more balanced. I think Flowery Branch is going to mimic a lot of what Jackson County has done over these past few weeks. When Dryden comes back, they're going to become more balanced and more dangerous offensively.
I agree. And what about incorporating Malik Dryden in the passing game? I mean, you throw a couple of screens to a guy that big with some blockers out front. You've got the makings of what could be a big play.
He's a great running back. I don't know that, and you and I both saw it in person. I don't know I've seen a better run all year than that one he had to open the game against Stevens County.
That was an outstanding run. If they could have just gotten more of that, Stevens County put the clamp on that. And we really, in this discussion, we haven't talked that much about Jefferson. It's been more focused on Flowery Branch, but I think we know what we're going to get with Jefferson. I mean, they're coming with the big offensive line. They've got Sammy Brown. I'm not saying they're not diverse on offense, but when you have an O-line like that, and you got a guy like Sammy Brown, and you got a couple other guys that you can throw in there, you know what's coming. You just have to stop it. We know what the defense. I mean, you look at that linebacking group. I mean, you got Sammy, but you got two other guys. And you got a good front. I mean, that front seven is as good as there is in the area. So I think when we look at this, we feel like we know what we're going to get with Jefferson. I think this game is dictated by what Flowery Branch team we get. If we get the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's a ball game. If we get that 3-game slide, it might not be much of a ball game. So I think it predicates itself on how Branch comes out and plays.
So that game will be on FM 102.9 WDUN, and Bo Wilson and I believe, or actually, no, that game's on AM 550. I'm sorry. I'm used to Jefferson being on FM 102.9. Jefferson, Flowery Branch will be on AM 550. That'll be Brian Stewart on the call, along with, I believe, Jimmy Lawler will be joining him on that broadcast crew. So,
interesting.
Flowery Branch Athletic Director. That'll be interesting.
And Jimmy, by the way, Jimmy is excellent when he does some basketball or football. I love listening to Jimmy. So even though he's a Flowery Branch guy, you're going to get a good broadcast in that game for sure.
No doubt about it. All right, let's move it along, guys. Buford going to Mill Creek. Number 1 versus number 2 in 7A. This is the game that everybody around the state has got their eyeballs on, and us included in that. Buford and Mill Creek. This game starting to feel like a rivalry, even though they've only played once. If you were at that game last year at Tom Ryden Stadium, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I was at that game.
There were a lot of people at that game because the crowd was spilling all the way back to Sawney Avenue.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God, it was like 12,000. I think when they put the final count on it, it was like 12,000 people. Not necessarily paid tickets, but people in the and look, Tom Ryden's not small. But 12,000, I mean, there were people, Seth, you were there were people ringed around that place.
There were so many people there. It was a wonder we found parking. It was a wonder I could move on the sidelines. It was an insane atmosphere.
Well, I remember Brian Stewart, our play-by-play guy on AM 550, telling me last year that he got to the stadium something like 2-3 hours before kickoff, and they were having to like panic, in a panic, get him a parking spot 3 hours before kickoff.
And this is what happened.
It was crazy.
People in Buford showed up at the school at like 10, 11, 12 noon, parked in places they weren't supposed to park, and just left their cars there. So then when people started showing up for the game, the reserved parking, and we had a reserved spot. We had 2. They were gone, as was most everything else around the school.
Well, I just remember having to park at a warehouse down Sawney Avenue and having to jog about a half a mile uphill.
And that's all uphill from where you were.
Yes. So
that's good for you, Caleb. That's good for you.
It was. I need to do more of that. But this time it's at Mill Creek. I'm expecting a very similar type of crowd. And what we really saw last year, that was a Mill Creek team that had an incredible offense, won the state title. I mean, they scored 70 points in the state championship game. And Buford's defense really stole the show. Now, Mill Creek still got their points. They were going to. They were that talented offensively. But we really saw Buford kind of impose their will physically as that game wore on. It'll be very interesting to see how this year's game plays out.
Walker, I want to get your take on this, but before I give it to Walker, I have a feature that's on Access that I put out earlier in the week. And when I got Josh Lovelady on the phone, we were talking about that game, and he called that the greatest loss in Mill Creek history. And now, how often do you hear a coach say, hey, that was a great loss? But he said what that did is it made them have to kind of reset, look at everything they were doing, change their priorities and how they were approaching. He said that loss propelled them to the state championship game. So, what we're going to get this week, Walker, I don't know, because you look, Buford's got Dylan Raiola. He's starting to kind of find his groove a little bit. They got the running game, the good offensive line. They got that great defensive, they got the defensive line and the linebackers. But Mill Creek can counter, with their own defense. And they got Cam Robinson and a passing game that's coming around kind of like we've seen with some of the other teams.
Yeah, and I want to touch on the offensive side of the football for Buford, because I know that you're going to touch a lot on the defensive side with your analysis here, Jeff. But offensively, I mean, Dylan Raiola is going to have to continue his progression like he has in the first part of the season for the Wolves. You started to see him really get to know this offense and get connections with his wide receivers and his running backs and his offensive line. They've started to really roll coming out of the bye week now for Buford. Can they continue that going? That's the big key for me here, because Mill Creek's going to come out hungry, wanting to get this win. And like you said, Caleb, this de facto becoming rivalry game between these two teams who are number 1 and number 2 in the state. There's going to be a ton of people there. The question is, can Buford continue their progression offensively and continue to put up points and be as balanced as they have the past few weeks? If they can do that, it really boils down to, can Buford get that 1, maybe 2 stops, Jeff?
Yeah, and I to be honest with you, I think the key to this game could probably be the Buford offensive line. They have really struggled over the course of the season with protecting Dylan Raiola. Dylan Raiola has made some plays, and I think they've been getting better as the season's going along. Mill Creek is going to be coming after Raiola in this game, and I think how Buford protects him could very well end up deciding it. But as we talk about this game, it is time for everybody's favorite part of the Pickem show. It's Jeff Hart's stat of the show.
Here's some things you need to know.
It's Jeff Hart's interesting stat of the show.
I love that jingle. We've got to press that on a record somewhere, Seth.
No.
What do you mean, no? That's a top 10 hit right there.
Nah.
I see crossover, country, maybe pop.
Well,
I don't know where you got country from.
You wouldn't get any of the royalties off of that, because the man sitting to your left is the one who sung it.
It's my voice on it.
Yeah, but it's my inspiration. It's kind of like, who wrote the song.
But you still get no royalties.
You also didn't write it, though. Like, he came up with it. He sang it.
Caleb came up with it.
I've got a great legal.
How is it?
I edited it, so I get part of the royalties.
This is so Hollywood. It's my inspiration, and I get nothing for it.
You failed to secure an NIL deal, so therefore...
What's my number? Oh, yeah, the stat of the show. Forgot all about that. Y'all started talking money. And
my legal team will be in touch.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm moving.
It's me and Bo in suits.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
That's it. It's me and Bo in suits.
And me. I wore that last year on this
Yes,
show.
you did.
Lord have mercy.
All right, what's the stat this week?
The number for the stat is 102. That sounds like a lot because it is. That's the number of impact plays by the Buford defense so far this season. I mean, you guys are talking, Buford offense, and we're talking the Mill Creek defense, but I'm going to tell you that Buford defense, I think this is where the game is won. They're second in 7A. They've only allowed 38 points all year, and we know that schedule they play, guys.
And by the way, about 20 of them were against North in one game against North.
That's
College.
correct. They've basically given up nothing, okay? That's 6.3 points a game. Look, they have 29 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, 30 QB hurries, 16 passes defended, 10 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries. And when you look at the Mill Creek quarterback, this is his first year starting. He was a backup, and he's had a solid season. But I feel like Buford's they're gonna blitz. They're gonna come after him. They're gonna make him make plays. So they're gonna, and then at that point they can stack the box against Cam Robinson. I think that's kind of where the game is going to be won, in my opinion. But as we've seen in games like this, it's always somebody coming out that we don't know about. So.
Well, last thing I'll say on this game before we move along is it was very interesting last year. We saw Buford go into the bag of tricks early with a halfback pass on their opening drive.
They didn't have a quarterback last year like they do this year.
We saw Buford go to some play action bombs that we really hadn't seen. I think Brian Appling threw some stuff at Mill Creek that Mill Creek had not seen yet, and he was able to get some points out of it. Do we see that out of Brian Appling? Do we see that out of Josh Lovelady, who maybe pulls out some stops that neither side has seen? Both teams are coming off a bye week, and both teams want this very badly. Mill Creek won that state title last year. Buford would love to remind them about who they view as the superior team in the rivalry. And for Mill Creek, they want to avenge that loss last year.
That one loss that they had, the one blemish to a perfect season.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, let's move on to Elbert at Rabun.
All right. Battle in Region 8, 1A, Division 1. Rabun County has won 9 straight region titles. Realistically, Athens Christian is struggling, so let's be realistic. There's probably 2 teams that have a shot of ending that streak this year. One of them is Commerce. That's later. But this is the first one, Elbert County, coming across the gorge to play Rabun County this week.
Look, this could have been a Jeff Hart stat of the show. Rabun County 7-0 all time against Elbert. Now look, Elbert's kind of a traditional program. They play in the Granite Bowl. I think Rabun's beat them 3 times. They've never lost to Elbert. I mean, they beat Elbert when they had McCole Hardman. And so it's hard. How do you not pick Rabun in this?
I think a lot of people are interested in this game because the sort of talking point has been that this might be a more vulnerable Rabun County team than what we've seen over the last several years. And this is also probably the best Elbert County team, Walker, that we have seen in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to those Mecole Hardman teams for Elbert County, especially the Elbert County team that came to Lumpkin in 2014, 15
something like that.
For a playoff game. That's the Elbert County of old that's starting to come back. Rabun County down a little bit this year, at least. They have been, but they are starting to pick it back up. I think this game really boils down to, can Rabun County get the offense going? You said it. There are 2 teams really in this region that can oust the Wildcats. It's Elbert County, it's Commerce. And Rabun County, they're all 6-1 at this point, while Athens Christian hasn't won a game. I think that tells you where this region is going to end up over the next 3 weeks. It's going to boil down to, can anybody knock off Rabun County and Elbert and Commerce? This is probably the biggest test that Rabun County has faced up until this point, and then Commerce later on, that's going to be an even bigger test.
Look, they handled Fellowship Christian not too long, a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that was a team very comparable to Elbert County. I think the matchup to watch in this is it's not the Rabun offense. It's really the Rabun defense against that Elbert County offense. Look,
good point.
The quarterback, Braden Scarborough, he's got 4 receivers with 20 catches or more, 355 yards or more, and Jakari Barnett, top 5 in rushing in Class A Division I. He's already got over 1,000 yards. they're able to throw offense at Rabun probably like no team has been able to do in a while. And that Rabun defense is not bad, but I don't know if it's as good as it has been. And I think that's where, they're going to have to stop Elbert County to win this game.
Well, I mentioned earlier, Rabun County, the talking point has been that they seem to be maybe a little bit more vulnerable than they've been in years past, but I don't know how true that is anymore because they look like a different animal than what we saw early in the year. They look like a different team than the one that got shut out by Stevens County early in the year. Ty Truelove in that offense, they look like they're getting more comfortable, and we just saw Fellowship hold what we all think is a pretty good East Jackson team to what did East Jackson score? 20 points in that game?
Something like that.
Rabun put up 42
21,
on
yeah.
Fellowship. So I think Rabun County's offense is starting to get a whole lot more comfortable.
So are we predicting a 50-49 game?
Well, we've got predictions coming up, Jeff. It is getting that time of the program. So
is it? All right.
Why don't we bring in our guest picker and get this thing started? And it's time for the Pickem section of the show. The Pickem section of the Friday Game Night Pickem show. We have got our guest picker in, and it is in studio this time. WDUN color commentator Gene Anderson. Gene, welcome into the crew.
Thank you. Good to be here.
The music's really loud this week.
It is.
It really is. I couldn't hear myself think.
You can look at anybody.
I brought
you
it
want to,
down.
Gene.
I
You
brought
don't
it
have
down.
to look straight ahead if you don't want.
I'm looking at whoever y'all want me to look at.
All right, so Gene,
Except for y'all.
Gene, here's the story. From what I understand, the record to beat for a guest picker is 11-2.
No, somebody went
12-1. It's
Somebody
12-1.
Who went 12-1?
Chris Faulkner
Chris Faulkner went 12-1.
2 weeks
That's
ago.
right. Okay, so the only way to break the record is to go perfect.
It
I will be perfect.
was
Okay.
a rough week.
All right,
overall
he's
for
called
everybody.
his shot like Babe friggin' Ruth. Let's do it.
I got a question. What made last week so tough? Because the like me. Wait a second. I
High
won that
school
thing at
football
9
made
and
it
4.
tough.
I won the week at 9 and 4.
Yeah,
What
it was
High school
why?
football made it tough.
Yeah, it was a tough week. It was a chaotic week last week.
Well,
Gene got to see some of that up close and personal with that Cherokee Bluff East Forsyth game, which did not end the way a lot of people were expecting it to. But it was a slim week of games, but the ones we got, we saw a lot of moving and shaking in the games that we got.
The game that you're talking about that I saw, it was a toss-up going in, and it came out kind of that way.
Yeah, that was a really good ball game. Like if you like old school football, that was a great game. Defense, running, a couple plays making the difference. That was a great ball game.
And I love old school football. That
Me
was
too.
one of my favorite games of the year.
Absolutely.
Well, Gene, talk about what you've seen so far this year out of the teams that you've been covering. I know AM 550, you guys a lot of times covering some of the schools on the south side of our coverage area, Buford, Flowery Branch, Cherokee Bluff, schools of that nature. Just kind of talk about what you've seen so far this season.
I've seen some good football, and I've seen evidence of good coaching. Now, having said that, all of these guys are not perfect because none of us are. I mean, even though I said I'm going to be perfect in my picks today.
I take exception to that.
Well, then again, proof is to my right, whichever way this camera's sitting. But the fact is, I've seen really good effort out of these kids. Nobody quits. Everybody works hard. I've seen my thing is, for the most part, it really throughout, I've seen kids playing better than they were last year, and which is evidence of great effort by the kids and good coaching. And that's pretty much as far as I'll go. Now, as far as individual teams, there's some that just have more talent than others and more experience than others, and you guys see that always.
Right.
Well, as you mentioned, guys not quitting. I'm not quitting either, even though I'm 6 games down in the standings. I am going to fight
It's
to the
over,
very
Caleb.
end.
Caleb, it's over.
No, it's
Caleb,
not
we're
over.
tied. We're still very much so in there.
It's over.
It is.
I've increased my lead. This thing's over. Y'all want to go ahead and concede this or what?
It can swing with any given week.
You know what, Caleb? You know what? How the best way to catch someone who's in the lead?
What's that?
Is when they become cocky.
Oh, well, we should have no problem then. I mean, this should be.
Hey, I've been cocky all year, and I've
Gene,
been
you
in
know
front
Jeff
all
as well
year.
as all of us. He never stops that cockiness.
Yeah, he's been that way since I've known him, and that's been like a decade,
That's
which
the
is kind of
secret
sad
to my
to say.
success.
Ever since when he was on the golf course with Bear Bryant, back in the day.
I never played with Bear Bryant. I
think
did play
that's
with
what-
Joe Namath.
I
though.
think that's when his cocky.
Joe Namath, not Bear Bryant.
All
Let's
right.
get it straight.
I think
right.
it was back when he played tennis.
Played tennis with John McEnroe.
Oh wow.
Let's move along.
I wonder who won.
Wasn't me. It was not
all right,
me.
so here's the picking order for this week. Gene is going to be the first one to pick. It will go Gene, and then Walker, then me, then Seth, and then Jeff. So
save the best for last.
Well, blame the randomized number generator.
Well, it knows what it's doing.
This. All right, so we're going to start with Region 8-1A Division 1 opener. Oof. 4-team region. This is the first time these two teams have played a region game all year. Commerce hosting Athens Christian.
I'm going with Commerce.
Athens Christian's bad.
Yeah.
Wait, that's my line. That's my line. You stole my line.
I picked before you this week, Jeff.
Walker, they're bad.
Do I take
they're
it?
Bad.
Do I take it that you're taking Commerce, Walker?
Yes, Commerce. Tiger's big.
I think Jaden Daniels and Tyshawn Wiggins both go over 100 yards rushing. I take the Tigers.
Yeah, I shout out Gaining the Edge this week in Commerce out today. Go check that video out, guys. I will do what I told Caleb to do and look at the camera for that one. Go check that one out. Commerce, yeah, gonna roll.
Definitely Commerce. And I would throw 200 yards, but the JV's going to be in the third quarter. So they'll both get 100 yards. Commerce, sure.
All
Two
right.
well-spoken kids over there, by the way.
So Bo sent in the order of picks, and I am calling an audible, and I am vetoing, and we're going to save the game that was going to be second. We're going to save that game for last, so we're going to roll on down through here.
Fantastic.
All right, so Cherokee Bluff at Walnut Grove. Bears need a win to stay alive in the 8-4A playoff race.
The Bears win. The Bears win. Okay, that's it. I've got a lot of things I could say, but I don't want to bog down your show with.
No, that's why you're here. Go for it.
The Bears win.
This is your opportunity.
Because the Bears have kind of found their identity.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, the way that they play football now, it's a defensive game where they're trying to shorten the game. I think that kind of game travels on the road down to Walnut Grove, and Bears get a close win, but still get a win.
Listen, Walnut Grove has struggled a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. Cherokee Bluff's defense, their last two big games, really the last 3 or 4 games, Cherokee Bluff's defense has really been lights out. The defense was not the reason that they lost that game to North Hall, and the defense was the reason that they beat East Forsyth. I think that defense will shine again. I got Cherokee Bluff.
Bears need it. Bears get it. Cherokee Bluff.
Caleb, everything I was going to say is exactly what you said. I totally agree on this Bluff team. I think that they're definitely finding there. I think that was a huge game last week in figuring out what they need to do. I'm definitely taking the Bears.
You know, if everything that you were going to say, he already said, why do they have you here? Oh, never mind. I digress.
Yes, Gene. Yes.
Battle of Highway 60, Chestatee.
Okay, I'll go.
North,
Don't you do it. Sit back down.
Chestatee at North Hall.
Oh,
game on FM 102.9, by the way.
North Hall wins this, and that's one of those things. They've just got more talent and more experience, and they played North Oconee. I mean, what can we say about that? But the fact is, they will win this game, and probably by more than 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Not to mention that Chestatee trying to implement that wing T offense, it's going to take some time with Stuart Cunningham. I think North Hall's ahead of the curve right now with Sean Pender. I'll take the Trojans.
North Hall's lost 2 in a row. You know they want to get that taste out of their mouth, and so they'll get up ready to play for this one. It's an old rivalry, and I think North Hall will roll in this one.
Yeah, 100%. North Hall's got this one.
Ditto, North Hall.
All right, back to Region 8-1A Division 1, Elbert County at Rabun County. Can anybody stop the Wildcats' streak of region titles? They've won 9 region titles in a row.
This is the toughest one on the agenda for today. And I started to flip a coin, and I've never been good at that, so I decided not to do that.
Wait, you were a referee. How are you not good at flipping a coin? Don't referees do that?
Just lands on its edge every time.
Not in my sport. Not in my sports that I do. In football, yes.
Wait, I thought you did that every time you got ready to call a ball or a strike.
Thanks a lot.
Yikes.
That would be.
Hey,
wow.
I had to get one in there
Man.
after I got punished a while ago.
I mean, I guess that's fair.
I still got a black eye
badgering.
from that last one.
No badgering the guest picker.
I'm sorry.
Let's focus on this thing, folks. Let's try a little focus. Okay, we've got Elbert County. Elbert County is so strong traditionally. They're going to do a lot of good things. They'll be athletic. Rabun County is also athletic. I'm giving Rabun County. Where's this thing being played?
It's in
Rabun
Tiger.
Okay.
Tiger.
I'm giving them a 3-point advantage in this game. I know y'all don't require that kind of effort out of your normal guest picker.
But it's always fun when we get it.
I'm going a step further. I'm saying it's going to be a 3-point win.
Who's winning? Who?
Rabun County.
Rabun. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't have said it any better myself, Gene. I think the edge is just this game being in Tiger. These two teams very evenly matched. I think that home field advantage gets them the win.
Walker took the words right out of my mouth. I'm going to go the same thing. If this game was in the Granite Bowl, I'd be very tempted to take Elbert County, but it's not. Rabun County's tough to play when you got to go across the gorge, and so I'll take the Wildcats.
Agree, 100%. Everything you guys are saying. Give me Rabun.
Well, Gene wasn't here when we discussed this game earlier, and apparently you guys forgot. Rabun has never lost to Elbert County.
I did not know that.
I mentioned it earlier. I guess you just forgot.
I forgot it.
I guess you did.
I'm taking.
Look, I think this is going to. I agree with you, Gene.
We don't listen to you, Jeff. Sometimes.
What was that, Walker? I didn't hear you.
I said we just don't listen.
No, I wasn't
to
listening to you, Walker. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were
I agree with
over
Gene.
Me. I wanted to make sure the audience heard me.
Wait, Jeff's talking?
Wow.
Oh. Okay.
Boy, this is a brutal show this week. Where's Bo when I need him?
Not here to help you.
It would be worse.
You think Bo would help you?
Yeah, I was like, it'd be worse if he was here.
Jeff, focus.
I am focused. I was, everything you said, I agree with. But I did want to say something about your umpiring. You are the best umpire in the state of Georgia, and that's the truth. I honestly, how many times have I told you that?
You have told me that before, and I appreciate that, but that's not true. Once again,
it is true, Gene.
You let that sentence out, and Gene got twitchy. Like that was that was funny.
I get real twitchy when you start
Gene,
saying.
I will fight anybody that says you're not the best umpire.
Well, let's fight to keep this show back on track, guys.
Okay, focus, Jeff.
I already took Rabun, so we're ready to move on. I just, look, Gene is
Bo
always
all
been
by
good.
himself with the Blue Devils.
Bo took the Blue Devils.
Listen, that was Gene. That was
Devils.
the hardest pick this week because that is. I mean, you got the number 3 team against I think the number 5 team.
Yeah.
Elbert is really playing well this year, and we weren't sure on Rabun early in the season, but they've got it going, and they're at home. They've never lost to Elbert. That's why I'm picking Rabun.
The other side of it is it's the first time for everything.
There is. You're absolutely right.
All right. Region 8-5A, Flowery Branch at Jefferson. You've got Dragons rolling and coming off a bye week. Flowery Branch coming off of 2 very big wins over Clark Central and Winder Barrow.
This is one that I'm going to go against where my heart is. I'm going to go with my brain, okay? That's always dangerous with me. I don't know which is more dangerous, my heart or my brain. But anyway, I'm going with Jefferson because I just honestly believe Jefferson's a better football team. Now, I love what Flowery Branch is doing. I really like what they've done the last couple of weeks. I just think Jefferson's a better football team, and it's going to be over in Memorial Stadium.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've only been there a million times, and I've known it's Memorial Stadium forever.
But they haven't changed it yet.
Then again, I'm going with my brain when I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Memorial Stadium. I've got to pick Jefferson in this one.
Flowery Branch's defense playing a lot better, but I don't think they can slow Sammy Brown down for 4 quarters. I think they can for a half, maybe into the 3rd quarter, but I think he ultimately takes over and Jefferson wins.
Flowery Branch, I think, will be able to score some points throwing the football, but where you see Flowery Branch's defense has struggled when they have had some struggles in region play, it's been with stopping downhill power running games. Now, they played very well against Winder Barrow. Sammy Brown's going to be a totally different animal than what they faced in Winder Barrow last week. I'm going to take Jefferson at home. I could see this being a little bit of a battle, but I also like the fact Jefferson coming off a bye week, whereas Flowery Branch has had 3 really physical ball games in a row.
I agree 100%. This game, in Jefferson, if it's at the Branch, it has the potential to be closer than a lot of people might think. I still think it has the potential to be closer than some might think, but I definitely agree that Branch, I don't think they can slow Sammy down for the whole entire game. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's got the potential to be closer because Flowery Branch has big playability on offense. They can strike from anywhere on the field, even if you've stopped them 3 straight possessions. So
exactly.
That's what's the wild card in this whole thing.
I'm definitely I again love what Flowery Branch is doing. We already talked about this game. I'm a defensive kind of guy. I'm going to go with the better defense. I think Jefferson has the better defense, and again, remember what Javin Gordon from Stevens County was able to do to Flowery Branch defense, and just wore them down and They took some shots. I don't know if I see Jefferson taking a lot of deep shots downfield, but I just don't think they can stop Sammy Brown. No one has so far this year. So I'm definitely going to take Jefferson. And, we haven't mentioned Bo's picks other than the Elbert County. He took Commerce. He took Bluff. He took North Hall. He also took Jefferson. So that's where Bo stands on his picks so far.
You guys keep talking about Sammy Brown on offense, and no question, he can run the football probably on anybody in the state. But Sammy Brown on defense, that's his bigger influence in this game. I love what Flowery Branch is doing, but Sammy Brown and that defense is going to be tough to move the ball against.
I totally agree.
Imagine what that moment is like when you look and lock eyes with Sammy Brown as he's charging towards you. Just fear, I imagine.
I'm glad I don't have to do it. I'll put it that way. Gainesville at Habersham Central.
Gainesville will win this ball game probably by several touchdowns. Now,
several?
I think so. Gainesville is a football team that's to be reckoned with. They've got a lot of great pieces, and I think they're gelling as a team now. Now, I've not had the ability to see them because I've been doing other games on Friday nights. But the deal here is what Gainesville has is just, I think, better than anybody in that region, just pure and simple.
Red Elephants are probably as healthy as they ever will be, coming off 2 bye weeks and 3 weeks and a blowout of Lanier sandwiched in between. Red Elephants by however many they want to win by.
Yeah, I agree. Gainesville rolls in this one.
Agree, 100% Gainesville.
Red Elephants.
All right, on to is this the only non-region? Well, no, it's not the only one, but in the GHSA, it's the only non-region game on the slate, which is Johnson going to Towns County. Johnson's already won a couple of games this year. Towns County still winless on the year.
This is interesting. I was sitting around yesterday, and, as I do sometimes at lunch, I listen to people talk about football. We talk about a lot of things, but we talk about a lot of football. And somebody said, well, Towns will take care of Johnson. I said, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. Johnson has won a couple of ball games this year. And I don't know how this game's going to come out. Nobody does. I've not seen either one of these teams play. I missed the Battle of Oakwood this year. And but the fact is, I think Johnson's going to win the football game. That's my gut. I'm going from my heart to my head to now my gut.
We've got 3 different organs involved over here at the table.
Every part of the buffalo.
Knights are just a few steps
Did you just
ahead
call
of where
him a
Towns
buffalo?
County's at.
Buffaloes are respectable creatures.
I love buffaloes.
There we go. So it works out.
Except for the Colorado Buffalo, the football team.
Okay.
A fun team to watch.
A fun team to watch, but they're a lot of fluff. Okay, once again, I digress.
Wow.
A lot of fluff on the offensive and defensive lines.
Jury's still out on if we're going to put together a college pick'em show. But Walker, what's your take on Johnson Towns County?
I think the Knights are just a few steps ahead of where Towns County's at. I don't care that this game's in Hiawassee. Johnson can play defense against Towns County, and so the Knights win.
I'm going to go against the grain on this one. Towns County still looking for that first win of the year. They play in what's actually a pretty tough region with the likes of Greene County and Aquinas and Lincoln County.
Washington Wilkes.
And listen, I agree. I think Johnson probably should be favored in this one, but Towns County gets them in Hiawassee. This is going to be a much more manageable game for them than what they've got in region play.
It's true.
I think the Indians get there first, and what could, when you look at their schedule, end up being the only win of the year, but I think they'll get it. I think I'll take Towns County over Johnson this week. Still love you, Coach Arell.
I think Johnson goes up there and gets the win.
Well, Johnson's not only going to win this, you're going to win big. You got to remember Towns County, they lost 6 starters, at least 2 or 3 for the whole season. They don't have that many players to begin with. So we love Coach Rock, and this is an interesting game because Coach Rock was at Johnson all those years. He's now at Towns County, and they beat Johnson last year, but they didn't have the injuries they have this year. And if you look at some of the scores of Towns, that is a major indicator of why some of these games we thought they were going to be very, very competitive, and they just haven't been. Anything is possible, but Johnson should win this game and win it big. Johnson.
You actually brought up an interesting point, which I'm giving you credit. Hey, 2 great coaches in this thing.
Oh,
two two guys that I admire. Don't know. I knew Coach Rock actually better than Coach Orrell, but both of these guys are to be admired. I'm telling you that right now. And we've got great coaches in this area. I think they all do it for the right reason, but these guys are in this really for the right reason.
Do you not feel like you want to go play for Harrell every time you talk to him?
Well,
I mean, honestly, and that for what he inherited and what he's had to deal with, that's the most positive, upbeat person I think I've run into in a while. And seeing him out on the soccer pitch with the soccer team, and talking about his influence in the weight room and helping those guys get better. Look, he's in a great place. Johnson is very lucky to have him.
Plus, he was probably recruiting a kicker and a punter. I mean, don't leave that out.
Well, definitely, and it's been very, very
no transfer portals for that one, was there?
No,
is it a portal when you go from soccer to football?
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
It's been very good to see Coach Harrell and the Knights get those 2 wins that they've gotten this year, and hopefully they get a couple more before the year's up. All right. We go to the private school realm now. Lanier Christian Academy going to Lakeview. Not a game that was originally on the schedule, but one that got added, and the first time Lanier Christian has ever played another school from inside of Hall County.
And y'all are going to make me go first on this one, too. Now, I said a moment ago.
As Jeff's phone goes off.
I said a moment ago that one of those games earlier was the toughest. This is really the toughest because we got no idea on this one. If you think you got an idea, you just
I can give you a quick scouting report on this game if you want it before we make any picks.
No.
As long
you
as
don't? Okay.
It would have to be very, very quick because we are on a limited time frame here, I think. But having said that, I'm going with my big toe on this one because I got no idea.
It's just going to change body parts each time. I love this.
I'm going with my big toe. And my big toe is telling me that it's going to be Lakeview in a high-scoring affair.
He's going with his gallbladder next time. Walker, it's to you.
I'll give a shout-out for you, Caleb. Thursday night quarterback, you're going to have Bruce Miller and Lee Coleman in the house at Locos tonight.
That could be fun. That could definitely be fun.
Yep.
Make sure you're out at Locos to hear those two talk about this game. I think Lakeview's offense is as good, if not better than LCA, but Lakeview's defense is better than LCA's. So I'll take the Lions at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take Lakeview Academy at home.
Yeah, give me Lakeview.
I'm definitely taking Lakeview also because this is why I was trying to give you a scouting report. CJ Britt's out for the year with a broken arm, quarterback for LCA.
Actually, I knew that.
You knew that, okay.
Yeah.
So
that's why I didn't want.
Hey, look, they played pretty well.
You already knew.
Look, they played pretty well without him, but I mean, I think he led. Didn't he lead Gaps? He led Gaps in passing last year. So when you lose a guy like that and you have to come in with your backup, that's pretty tough. And their defense has struggled all year. So I'm going to go with Lakeview, no doubt.
All right, let's go.
By the way,
go ahead,
Bo
Walker.
took the Lightning in that game.
Yes, he did.
Oh, interesting.
Can I say something?
And Bo took Johnson.
Go, Gene.
And Bo took Johnson and Gainesville.
Tell the guy to my right, the one and only Jeff Hart, that Giesa no longer.
Yes, GIAA. But,
yep.
You say something for 30 years, it's hard to not say it.
All right, let's go rapid fire on these next 4. We got North Oconee at East Forsyth.
Rapid fire?
North Oconee.
NOCO.
Yeah, give me North Oconee.
North Oconee.
North Oconee.
All right.
Bo took North Oconee.
Union County at a much improved Providence Christian.
Wow, this is interesting too. Y'all get it. Okay, you want rapid fire?
I know. I don't know why you went rapid fire with these. We got 3.
Well,
good
we're running
here.
low on time here, so we got to keep it moving.
Okay.
Shoot. I got through those others really well. I got nothing. My left knee is telling me that it's going to be Providence.
Okay, Gene takes Providence.
Bo takes the Panthers. I go with the home team, Providence Christian.
I got Union County.
Give me Union, too.
I'm taking Union after they went on the road and beat Fannin, and I'm thinking Fannin's better than Providence.
All right, Wesleyan at Dawson County. Bo is not here to pick against his alma mater, as is normally tradition, so who's going to be the first to do it?
Well, I guess it'll be me because I'm going with Wesleyan. Okay, guys, it's Wesleyan. John Wesley and those guys from the Methodist Church is who it's named for. It's not Wesleyan, it's Wesleyan. Okay, I've got it out of my system.
S, not Z.
Are you
Gotcha.
saying we have been mispronouncing it all year?
Yes. No, not forever. Not all year.
Forever.
And not just you guys.
Eternity.
Everybody mispronounced it. It's Wesleyan, and
West.
Wesleyan wins.
It's not a personal attack on us. It's everything.
It's the world.
The world.
Gene against the world. Okay.
That's a movie title.
The long-standing tradition of Bo picking against the Tigers ends today because he did pick the Tigers. I'm taking the Wolves. Their defense is playing really well.
Whoa, Bo took Dawson County?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Wow. Of all the weeks to pick Dawson County, he picks him
know.
against Wesleyan. All right. I'm going to
Good
take.
job, baby.
I appreciate
That's a way to learn and live.
I'm going to take Wesleyan.
Kimmy Wesleyan.
I really feel Dawson County's playing a lot better, and White County probably could have, maybe should have beaten Wesleyan last week. You know, I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go with Bo on this one. I'm gonna go with Dawson County at home. I feel they're playing a lot better. They're gonna be at home, so I'm gonna take that, and I'm probably gonna regret it going with Bo. Bo and Dawson County have not done well this year.
All right, great rapid fire, Jeff. All right, West Hall at White County to wrap up, almost wrap it up. We got one more after this.
The White County wins.
Warriors big.
Warriors.
White County.
All right.
And Bo took White.
Final game to wrap it up, and this is the big one this week. You got the top 2 ranked teams in all of Class 7A, probably the 2 top ranked teams in all classifications if we put out such a ranking, which we don't. But Buford going to Mill Creek. Of course, this was a great battle last year down at Tom Ryden Stadium. This year it goes to the northeast corner of Gwinnett County, over to the Houston area. And this year Mill Creek hosting it. So, Gene, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm using my brain, my heart.
You don't have to
my
be
gut,
rapid fire
my
on this.
knee,
You need everything for
my
this
right
one.
toe, and all the rest of my body to pick this one. And I'm going to say before I make the pick, drum roll, whatever.
Okay,
Here's the deal, folks.
It's the one sound we don't have. We need to get a drum roll.
drum roll, yeah.
We need to get a drum roll.
I'm just trying to improve the show a little bit. Hey, this is the greatest matchup in the state of Georgia thus far. I mean, it's just 7A, top 2 teams. Buford with all their tradition. Mill Creek is just so good. And if you look at that thing where they put it in the computer, I think it's called a Maxwell thing. They're giving Mill Creek a 60% chance to win this region against the number 1 ranked team in the state, according to all the others, except for the Maxwell. Maxwell has Mill Creek at the top. So the computer says the computer says that Mill Creek's the best team. Everybody else kind of says Buford is. Man, what you going to go for this? You going to get some AI in here? You going to pull artificial intelligence? Or are you going with my entire body and go with Buford?
Your whole body.
My whole body says Buford.
Gene's,
by a point.
Does this mean
Okay.
you have made the appointment for an total body transplant after this pick?
I could use that. Believe me. If you only knew. But we digress again.
All right, Walker.
Buford gets healthy after the bye week. They really are starting to roll on the offensive side of the football, putting it together with the defense we know that the Wolves pride themselves on. I think Buford wins this game, and I'm even going to go so far, Gene, as to say it's by more than a touchdown.
Ooh, you're living dangerously, Walker. But I like it. I like it.
You know, I every time I pick against Buford wins the football game. I think that
You know
I think
why?
it's 100%.
You know why? Because Buford wins 99%
Well,
of their
that's
games.
a good point. That's a good point. I picked Mill Creek in this game last year, and Buford ended up winning it. Of course, Mill Creek went on to eventually win the state title, so my faith was not misplaced. I just went against Tom Ryden Stadium. This is also, for me, a game. I have got family on both sides of this. I've got cousins who went to both of these schools.
Uh-oh.
So I'm offending somebody no matter which way that I go.
Do you have to recuse yourself?
No, he does not get to recuse himself.
You know, I really don't want to pick against Buford 2 years in a row, but I really like this Mill Creek team. Man, this is a tough one to do.
Do it.
I'm going to take Mill Creek for the second year in a row.
He did it.
Again.
I don't have to.
Again.
I don't have to pick against Tom Ryden Stadium this time. It's at Mill Creek, so
Okay.
you know that helps me out just a little bit. So I'm going to go with the Hawks, and I will eat the L if Buford wins.
Thank you to Caleb for turning my camera back on
Yeah,
as
no
it
problem.
died, and I realized, oh wait, I'm going to have to pick. It's
Yeah,
not okay.
No problem.
Give me Buford. Give me Buford. It's never safe to pick against Buford.
Bo went with Buford. You're going against Buford.
I am.
You're using your whole body to pick Buford. I'm also going to go with Buford.
Oh, leaving me all alone.
All by yourself.
Oh, God.
I will never do that
Although
again.
if Mill Creek wins, I just saved the graphics. So.
No, you're not by yourself.
You did save the graphic.
The computer that Maxwell uses agrees with you.
It's me and Chat GPT. That's great. That's great.
I don't even.
He's like, I
understand
feel
that.
really great about this one.
Yeah. Well, all right. I guess I'll ride with that. That's going to do it for the picks. Gene Anderson, appreciate you coming on the show, and you can hear him almost every week on AM 550.
And you know what? My whole body's going to leave now.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
putting
please
up
don't
with it.
leave one of your big toes behind. Please.
Thanks for stopping by.
We'll
Gene.
return it if we find it. Promise.
Thank you, Caleb, and Jeff,
Bye, Gene.
and hey, Walker, you too, and
Thanks, Gene.
and Bo, who's not even here. Thank
Yeah.
you too, Bo. He's the
You
one. that
notice
asked
he
me to
didn't
come.
show up when you were coming in studio this week.
As a matter of fact, he left the state.
That's right. I don't know what that says, Gene, but
It says that he needed to leave the state. I mean, don't look.
Oh, yeah.
Don't look into things. I mean,
Don't read into it.
don't. Okay, we need to get out of here, right?
Yeah.
I'm
It's
done.
time to do the locks. Gene, appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's get into the locks.
I like how Seth's running this show today.
Well, I thought this was my job.
Apparently Seth is he's staged a coup.
He has. Okay,
Seth's
so
just trying to hold this thing together in Bo's absence.
That's impossible.
Here
It
the
is,
pick-
yeah. It's about that's my mission for every show. Just hold it together until we're done.
Here is the picking order for the locks. It will be Jeff first, then Seth, then Bo, who's not here, but has he sent his pick in?
Yes, I have his pick.
All right, then me, then Walker. So Jeff, get us started off.
Whew, I'm gonna tell you what. There were some interesting lines. We declined to. We threw one out. I'll tell everybody what it was. Athens Christian plus 85 against Commerce.
Yeah, that's unfair.
Now,
to pick.
it is. That's that's according to the formula. But you said they might alter that or something. But so we threw that one out. Although that was interesting. 85 points. My God, that's a lot of points. I'm going to go out on a limb on this one. I took Dawson County to beat Wesleyan. They're getting 8 points, so I'm going to take the Dawson plus 8. Because I think that's going to be a close game anyway.
All right, so now to Seth.
Give me Union County to cover that 4 points.
We need to Union County's
Union's
-4.
a favorite.
They're favored by 4 at Providence.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
that's what I'm saying. Give them
Okay.
to me to win by more than 4.
Okay.
We need to replace this with a Jeopardy music. What was Bo's pick? for his
Bo is
lock?
going to go with Elbert County plus 8.
Ooh.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right, so then I guess it's to me. I am going to go with.
I can see why Bo did that. I forgot. He was the only one to pick. He's the only one to pick Elbert in that.
Give me Lakeview Academy -4 against Lanier Christian.
Gosh,
right.
you
Somebody-
stole mine, Caleb.
somebody-
All right,
weighed
Walker,
in on that one.
Walker, it's all you.
I think I then am going to go on the opposite side of Jeff. I'm going to go Wesleyan -8. I think that Dawson County's defense is going to struggle against the pass.
All right,
Well,
so
we'll see.
is that a wrap for today's show, guys?
I think finally, Seth, you made it through.
There's the music.
Yeah, I guess we did. I guess this is the end of this
All right.
Bo-less journey.
Friday game night page at accesswdun.com. We'll have previews up there. AM 550 WDUN Friday night, Jefferson Flowery Branch, FM 102.9, Battle of Highway 60, North Hall, Chestatee, 94.5 FM The Lake, Gainesville at Habersham Central. You can follow us on Twitter or X at Friday Game Night. Did I miss anything, guys? I think I got it all
I
right.
think you covered the majority of it.
I think
What's on the
so.
tailgate show?
Oh,
yeah.
the tailgate show.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tailgate
You forgot
show.
your own show.
We're going to hear from both coaches ahead of that Buford Mill Creek matchup and, have a good time, eat barbecue, give away prizes. It's always a great Friday at
Seems
the tailgate
like the same
show.
thing every Friday.
Smokehouse Barbecue at 6 o'clock. That's going to do it for the Pickem Show. And thank you for watching. This is Friday Game Night, Week 9, coming your way.